This is John for Global Traveler Magazine. Today I have the pleasure, I'm on the beat with Laura Schein. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, John?
I am good. Let me give you a proper introduction though. You are an actor, you are a writer, a producer, a composer, you are a health nut, you are a certified health coach, you are the podcaster on What the Func, which we will get to closer to the end. But did I cover everything there? Did I miss anything?
I think you covered everything.
Okay. If not, we'll get to it. We'll
Okay.
get to it all. So I first came across you when I was doing the research for a different global traveler story on zooming the movies. And I started off doing research. I fell into a rabbit hole online on Seinfeld, blah, blah, blah. I got to zoom the movies. And I have to say, this is a long way of getting there. I have to say that your performance as Elaine was just outstanding because you totally captured her without being like just a mimic, and you still retained your own voice in it. So I just thought I thought you stole the show.
Oh my goodness, John, you flatter. Thank you.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you, and I'm not just saying that because we're both Chicago area people. So, but it certainly helps. So how did you end up getting that part, or how did you end up going for that part?
Kevin Pollak, who produces Zoom in the Movies, he contacted me through Facebook, and he's a Chicago guy, and we just have a lot of friends in common, people in the industry in common. And so, yeah, we got connected. And I think it was honestly through the power of social media that it all came to pass. And he's been doing so many of these Zoom in the Movies during this whole lockdown time, and I think it's been really fun for actors to connect. And I've done some other projects with him that aren't Zooming the Movies, that are readings of new plays being developed, and that's super fun as well. And it's great. It's just a great chance to connect with other actors, and a chance to act, which I always love.
So is it hard though, because through Zoom, like you're interacting with the other actors, but you're not really seeing them. You're just performing kind of in a little box. How hard is that?
Yeah, it's different, but connection is connection, whether it's through a screen or not. So I have found that in all the projects I've done during this time that are via screen connection, you still gotta look, you look people in the eye, and you try to be in the moment of the scene as if you were standing next to each other, and trying to really drop in no matter what is your surroundings are, even if you're sitting, in your bed. It's as if you're together in the same space.
Well, as we established earlier, you are originally a Chicago, you know, grew up in Chicago area at least. When did you learn that, or when did you realize that you wanted to be an actress?
I was 3 years old,
Oh,
and yeah, very early. My parents took me to see The Wiz at the Marriott Lincolnshire Theater, and at intermission, so the lore goes, I pulled my mom's arm and said, "I want to do that." And I knew. And ironically, that production, one of the stars was Kenny Ingram, who played the Scarecrow. Kenny Ingram, cut to years later. Well, first we ended up doing Ragtime together. That was how I got my equity card. Was at 13, I was cast as the little girl in Ragtime, the first national tour that came through Chicago that Frank Galati directed, and I did that for a year and a half in Chicago. It was a huge production and really amazing and changed my life. But Kenny was in that production with me, and then years later, he ended up being the choreographer of Emoji Land, the musical that I co-wrote and starred in off Broadway. So very full circle.
well, that brings me to my next question. You must be reading my notes. I'm dying to hear about Emoji Land. How
Oh,
did how did it start? What is it, and what is the status of it now?
so it has been quite the journey. So I started writing it with Keith Harrison in 2014, and it went through many iterations. We knew it was the day that the emojis came on as an alphabet on the iPhone in 2014, and so a lot of people were Googling like, what are emojis? Because henceforth they'd only been like in Japan, and it just kind of came to us at dinner one night that, wait, emojis are characters, like characters in an alphabet, characters in our phone, but what if they were characters in a story, in a narrative? This was way before, I don't know if you know of the Emoji movie that came out that was a
Yeah.
total flop, but this was way before that was ever announced or anything. So we started working on different narrative possibilities for these characters in our phones. We started by doing a concert production in Los Angeles, in which it was a totally different story than it is now. It was more so about like a human and what happens inside her phone. And the version that we've landed on that premiered off Broadway last January involves no humans. It's just about emojis living inside a cell phone and what happens when there's an update in the phone and new emojis are introduced into the world. And basically, well, a little bit of a spoiler alert, there is a virus that gets released inside the phone. Yes, this was written pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, but there is a virus and it starts killing off all the emojis, deleting them. And how will Emojiland survive? So it ended up being quite prescient in a time when we were performing this on 42nd Street and the virus started taking hold in the real world and we were on stage singing virus. It was kind of crazy, and the fans who were there during that time, continue to write to me today just saying, I can't believe we were there on the night that the NBA shut down and Tom Hanks got the virus and we were in the theater and you were dying of the virus on stage. It was crazy. So so the show opened to rave reviews off Broadway, New York Times critics pick. So honestly, just honored and kind of flabbergasted that it went from this little idea that we had over dinner one night to being a full-blown off-Broadway musical with sets and costumes and props, and it was an amazing experience. And I did star in the show, and that was also a dream come true to perform in New York like that.
Oh, sure.
And it was amazing. And so we did get shut down due to COVID. And, theater has still not picked up again in the U.S., but we hope that when it does, we have a lot of plans in motion for the show. So it's not the end of Emojiland. And there's also there's a cast album that we recorded that's out there that was up for a Grammy consideration, and can be listened to on Spotify and all the platforms.
Sounds great. And Global Traveler is based in Philadelphia, but we do a lot of events post-pandemic. We'll do a lot of events in New York, and I definitely will see this because I read a little bit about it online. I was dying to talk to you about it, so that's on my bucket list now to see Emoji Land.
I hope they'll be back soon.
You've got so many things I want to talk to you about, but I will fast forward just to make sure we get it. Tell me all about What the Func, because how does an actress and a composer and all those other cool things I mentioned, how does she go from that to being a life coach to being a podcaster about functional medicine?
Well, like you said, I've always been a health nut, and my mom is my mom's the OG original health nut, and she raised me vegan, before anyone was doing all that kind of stuff, before there was a Whole Foods. She started a co-op in our neighborhood with a truck coming to bring, organic tofu and things like that before it was ever, in fashion. So I grew up, not eating the way my friends ate. I'd come to school with little packs of seaweed when they came with Cheetos. So I've always been interested in health. And then my mom started a school a few years ago. My mom is 70 and started an incredible company at, in this stage of life. So she's super impressive, but it's called the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy, and it trains people to be health coaches. So she's a PhD psychologist, and she's a nutritionist, and she really found more and more the link between looking for like the root causes of disease instead of treating the symptoms, and which is what functional medicine really aims to do. And she decided that she wanted to train people to be functional medicine health coaches and assist functional medicine doctors in this work that they're trying to do. So I was in the beta class, which was the first class to graduate, and I became a certified health coach through my mom's program. And then cut to a few years later, so my first client, my first official client, unofficial really, is my dear friend Clayton Farris, who I was doing a play with at the time, and he was having all these health issues, and no doctors were really able to help him. He, just all sorts of things that he was like, I guess I'm just getting old. I'm in my 30s. I guess this is what happened. And I was, no, I was like, it doesn't have to be that way. So I helped him. We did like an elimination diet and started getting him on the path towards health, and his symptoms went away and he started feeling great, and he's like a total believer in it now. So he was kind of like my first client essentially. And then my mom wanted to create a podcast for the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy for FMCA. And she said, well, I'm not funny, I'm not a personality, but you are, and Clayton is. And so she actually had the idea, why don't you guys host this podcast? And we said, sure, this actually sounds fun. So then we were coming up with names, and we were like, functional medicine, funky, what the funk. And so that's just kind of how we came up with it. And yeah, we started recording these episodes right before I went to New York. So that was winter 2019. And yeah, and then I went to New York. We kind of were editing, getting them all ready, and then I came back, and then we basically launched it, right at the beginning of the pandemic, like February, March last year, and we just released our 50th episode. So kind of amazing that we're already at the big 50. But we've gotten to interview some really, really cool people, really heavy hitters in the functional medicine world. We just got to interview like the John Lennon of functional medicine, Dr. Mark Hyman, who, he's like Will Smith's doctor. He's super cool. So that was like a big get for us, and that was exciting. But yeah, we've learned so much, and I've learned so much, and it's helped me with a lot of health issues that I have and things that I'm going through in my life, and looking at these underlying root causes that so often in traditional medicine we don't really look at.
Well, I really like the podcast because obviously you guys take it seriously. There's no question about that. But you also have a lighthearted banter. There is some humor involved, so it's not like it's just dead serious and it's pounding you with facts and lectures and all that. You guys have fun with it, but yet, well, I guess the point is you keep it very interesting as you teach or as you inform.
Thanks. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, as we say, put the fun in functional medicine. And a lot of the podcasts out there are, great in terms of the information that they offer, but they can be a little dry. So that's where we come in. Clayton's a brilliant comedian. He was like a huge star on Vine when the platform was.
I was going to say, yeah, he's a big Vine guy.
Yeah, big Vine guy. He still gets recognized sometimes. People are like, you're the printer guy from Vine. But yeah, he's hilarious. And Clayton and I now, we write together. We're developing a few projects, like some narrative projects of our own. So yeah, I love working with Clayton. He's wonderful. So it is really a joy, labor of love.
Well, I think you guys set the tone right from the beginning with the theme song, which I think is just really, really cool and really funny. I was like hooked right on that. I think it's really cool though. I mean, you guys have, I've listened to a bunch of the episodes. I haven't listened to them all yet, but I'm going to. I heard the big 1-year anniversary issue. That was cool. You guys have done like a wide variety of things. I know you've talked about the vaccine. You've talked about supplements. You've talked about fatigue. I think there's one on migraine somewhere back there, but I'm not positive.
Yep.
So without getting too serious, but what is your stance on the vaccine?
Well, I actually just got it, and I mean, I'll say it. I'm pro-vax. I think in this case, we already know what some of these long-term possible side effects are of COVID. People who are deemed like long haulers and living with these essentially autoimmune conditions. And, obviously we don't know what the real long-term effects are of the vaccine, but we already know, it's already a given that COVID kills, and COVID, creates these long-term side effects. So, and also looking at this doctor we interviewed, Dr. Felice Gersh, said, I thought so well, that it's more of like a COVID therapy than a COVID vaccine, she said, or Clayton deemed it the COVID condom, because it's a protection, and it's this mRNA instead of, it's much less intense than something like the polio vaccine, where you're actually being injected with the, with the virus. Or so I think I trust it. I trust the science, and I don't know. That's that's all I'll say about it. I totally respect everyone's stance, and if you don't feel comfortable with it, then I totally respect that. But for me, myself, I'm trusting it.
Well, I am too. I'm scheduled for, you expressed my opinion exactly, but I'm scheduled for it next month. So I figure it's better to be safe than potentially what could happen.
Yeah.
But with getting back to, well, I guess this is all about what the funk. So where do you see it going? How long do you think it could last? Do you have long-term plans?
Well, we definitely we're going to keep going with it. We actually just started making some merch, so we have some ideas for some T-shirts, some Func med heads,
Yeah.
and so yeah, we're excited about keeping it going. And we actually do still have a lot of interviews in the can that we haven't released yet, and ones that are scheduled coming up that we're really excited to share. So yeah, there's definitely more to come, and we're excited about starting to talk to some more people who maybe, we've talked to a lot of doctors, and we love talking to doctors, but now we're excited to also talk to some more like celebrities, and get their stories and see how functional medicine has changed their lives. Because I think there's a lot more people that, that are names that we know and love, that have really found this kind of medicine to be super transformative for them. And I think that's hopefully how we can get the message out to more people, that this isn't just some kind of like quackery. It's actually really helping people and saving lives. So we hope to have a bigger reach as we move forward. But it was really exciting. We were charting this month in the top 100 U.S. alternative health podcasts. So that was a big boon for us.
Very impressive. No, there's totally room for alternative medicine. There's room for it all. I mean, everything is in moderation. There's methods, and then sometimes you do have to take regular medicine, whatever. But there's nothing wrong with exploring other venues. I've done that. I had migraines for a while. I've looked into alternative methods to, and it has helped. So there's. And obviously, you wouldn't be celebrating your year. You wouldn't be in the top 100 if there was no call for it.
No, it's a really, I think that, it's one of those fields that I hope also for my dream for functional medicine is that soon it will be more covered by insurance also, because I think now it's still, for a lot of functional medicine doctors, they're out of network for people. So it feels out of reach, and there is this financial barrier. But more and more with people like Dr. Mark Hyman, who is working with the Cleveland Clinic and really getting it, out to more people, and doing more like group sessions that are super affordable for people, that it really can start to become, in the way that I've seen, even just in my lifetime, organic used to be a word that didn't really, it was just kind of like one of those weird words. Right. And now it's like, the landscape has completely changed. Places like, normal grocery stores are now carrying organic products that they wouldn't normally have, back in the 80s, 90s. So I think it's possible.
I think there's a lot of possibilities, it's exciting, and I appreciate the fact that you and Clayton are coming out with the podcast and informing a lot of people, because a lot of people don't know or might be closed-minded to it, but then once they start listening to you guys, it makes total sense, and it's something at least worth investigating is the bottom line. But before I let you go, because it's a Global Traveler is obviously a travel website, hence the Traveler, I have to ask you just a couple of travel questions. Where are the top 2 or 3 places that you've been to, and where are the top 2 or 3 places that you really want to go, like your bucket list places, anywhere?
Okay, well, first I'll say the first bucket list place that always comes to my mind, because for some reason I heard about it when I was 12 and I was like, I gotta go there, is Bali.
Why did I know you were going to say that? I don't know. That's bizarre.
That's weird. Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Bali. Ever since I was in ragtime when I was 12, I just remember there was this guy who played the Harry Houdini double who had just come back from Bali with his girlfriend. And he was like in his, late 20s or something. I was 12, and I was like, wow, I hope someday I get to go to Bali with a boyfriend. So it's always kind of been this like dream romantic place that I want to get to. So that's I got to get to Bali, and I got to get to Spain because I did my 23andMe test to find out my lineage heritage, and I found out that I'm a little part Spanish. So
Okay.
got to get to Spain. And then my two favorite places I've been. I mean, I got to go to France, like the Angoulême, this little town in France. Years ago, one of my best friends, his grandma she had like a chateau there, and so I got to go with a group of friends and stay there for a few weeks, and it was like just totally magical. So I always think of Angoulême, and it had kind of like a Beauty and the Beast, like small town feel. Where you like, there's the boulangerie and all these things. And so that was just really special. So I hope to get back there. And my other favorite place, this is actually a place that I just went to very recently for the first time. And since then have gone back multiple times, is Cambria, which, do you know Cambria?
I do not. So don't tell my global traveler boss this though. No.
His secret is safe with me. But Cambria is in Northern California. It's about 3 hours north of Los Angeles, and it is kind of this magical little town that is right on the ocean, but it's also like a very foresty area. So there are these beautiful pine trees. It's right by the Hearst Castle.
Oh,
so,
okay. Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
it's really beautiful. You can go to the Hearst Ranch Winery they have that's right on the ocean, and they make their own wine, and you can just look at the ocean and you're by the trees. It's so beautiful, but it's actually become a favorite place of me and Clayton. We've been going there to write, and we befriended a guy who has a home there. So he's super cool, and his girlfriend lives down the block. They're like in their 70s,
Wow.
he's like, I'm going away with my girlfriend. He's like, you guys can come use the house. So
Wow.
a good friend to have.
Well, as it's 32 degrees in Chicago, now I'm dreaming of going out there. Yes.
Come on out to Cambria.
We'll have a big party. So
Right.
before I let you go, and I really, really appreciate your time. Before I let you go, it's your show now. Take over. Tell anybody where they can find you, where they can find What the Func, where they can find Clayton.
All right. Well, you can find me. My website is thelillaura.com, and you can find me on all the social platforms at the Lil Laura, the LILLAURA. And you can find Emojiland if you go to emojiland.com, and we're on like Instagram at Emoji Musical. And then you can find Clayton is at Clayton Farris, ClaytonFarris on all the platforms. So again, What the Func, you can find us, just go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We're on all the platforms, but look up What the Func with a C, Func. And we're on Instagram too at What the Func. Yeah.
Perfect. You just did my job for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I really appreciate your time. I thank you for the podcast. It's I stumbled across it. Obviously, I told you how I got there, but the important thing is I got there, and I'm a dedicated listener, and I will continue being a dedicated listener. And I will get the T-shirt when it comes out, and I'm hoping you guys get like little Funko pops, the little Funko dolls, because that would be perfect for you and Clayton.
Great. Okay. Cool. I'll let them know.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you very much for your time, and you have a great rest of the day.
You too, John. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.